2. All right. Hello, Starseeds and magical friends, and welcome to the Truth, Beauty, Freedom, and Love show. And on today's show, I have my beautiful friend Alex here with me today, and we're going to go over stories of how dance acts as a body language. But before we get into those fun details, we're going to first go into my little introduction of Alex and how I first found or came upon her, because she is still my dance instructor, because I do remember your email telling me that you'll always be my coach as it comes to shuffling. So I reached out to Alex as far as it came to shuffling, because when it comes to electronic music and dance, there's a beautiful relationship between shuffling and the beat of a music, the bass of a music, and that makes it a very unique style and energy behind it. And so when I saw Alex's videos, as well as how she put together choreography, it was this nice blend of, I think, femininity along with like that more masculine, like downbeat of like power of shuffle, but like that beautiful balance between the two. And then the cherry on top was when we finally talked and just have a great way of communicating, Alex. Like I'm surprised that you haven't actually had a official dance background. I'll let you do your own introduction fully as well. But the way you're able to communicate dance is beautiful. So I will let you do your introduction, Alex, and then we will start the show with a little astro stack thing. But first, introduce yourself to the star people.
Cool. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on. That intro was so beautiful. And honestly, as a teacher, I think these are the moments and the reflections that really remind us why we do what we do and how what each of us does as an instructor is different than the person next to us or other instructors. That really helped to frame my uniqueness. So I really appreciate that so much.
No
Um,
worries.
as you mentioned, I am a shuffle dance instructor as well as a mindset coach, which
Yes.
is incredible because, as you said, shuffling is a connection to the music, a connection to the beat, but it really is a connection to yourself. And I think
Mm-hmm.
something that we vibed over from the very beginning, obviously, we're both very in tune with energy and the
Oh,
vibes, and
yes. All the
we
woo.
picked up
And
on that. Yeah, we picked up on that within each other. And that's what made this such a beautiful match because it wasn't just about, hey, Rachel, I'm just going to teach you how to
how to,
do the running man and do this combo and okay, see you later. It truly became a soul connection. And we look forward to our sessions and hanging out
yeah.
and going so much deeper than just the physical steps, but the actual embodiment of the movement with the music and with ourselves. And that's why I love shuffling so much. To your point, I don't have I was never a trained competitive dancer, any of those things. I dabbled in dance growing up, as I'm sure many of us did,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it. I did some cheerleading, some gymnastics, so I always kind of had that art form within me. But shuffling was the first time that I actually stepped into a teaching
Yeah.
role.
Yeah.
And I think, kind of the way you said, like the way that I communicate dance. I heard someone say this a long time ago, and I don't remember who it was, but I'll credit them, whoever this person is. But they said there's a very special way to articulate movement.
Mm.
And that's a really great way of putting it because I can do a move and you can copy it. But for me to explain to you what the mechanics are and how you can really feel it in your body and then also characterize it to be completely your own. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but that's in a game of its own. That's a lane
Yeah.
of its
No,
own.
it's true. So like how did you find shuffling? How did you discover shuffling as like your art form?
Yeah. So after I kind of went my separate ways with dance after high school, as
Mm.
a lot of us do.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
classes were over, the cheer team was done, and whatever. But I always did really have a love for music in general, and obviously dance as a whole. And I had probably dabbled in shuffling, once in 2017 seeing someone do it at a rave. I probably learned the Running Man for like 5 minutes and was like, this is hard, I'm done. But in 2019, I went to Ultra Music Festival in Miami,
Oh, amazing.
and I had already started like creeping people's shuffling videos on the internet. It
Mm.
kind of just popped up, honestly. It was before the shuffling craze really started, in my opinion.
You like
Pretty much.
caught the wave beforehand.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I saw a group of shufflers at Ultra like sharing the most immaculate energy with each other and moving in
Oh.
a way that I had never fully seen done to electronic music. I was going to festivals and jumping up and down and dancing like a lunatic and frolicking in fields, but I did feel that like deep connection to the music the way I saw these people were. So it
Oh,
started
that's
as
I love
they're having, yeah,
that.
I'm
I
like,
love
they're having
that.
way more fun than me, and
Mm.
I need to
How do
figure
I
this
get
out.
into that
So
vibe? Yeah.
you got it. So I went home and I binge watched all the things at the time. Tutorials and coaching and
Yeah.
classes were very minimal. So I just
Mm.
hunted for whatever I could. But then after that, my love for shuffling actually recultivated. And I don't know if any of your questions later will go into this, so I don't want to spoil it, but it recultivated a sense of connection to my body that I had
Oh,
lost after
yeah.
a really, really long
Non-linear
time.
storytelling. That's all right.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So yeah,
Oh
it was
yeah, I love
something
that.
that I
The connection to your body. And actually this is a good segue into the Astro Stack introduction that
perfect.
I get with all my guests because it's so interesting because I feel like we are all like I say like star seeds, right? And I talk about it from like super cheesy Japanese anime Sailor Moon kind of way because
That's
they
cute.
refer to star seeds as like everything with life has a star seed because we all come from stardust. We're made of stardust. So we are from that, we'll code of that. It's all like we have all of that consciousness within us. So within
Beautiful.
that, our astro also has our own like, elemental qualities, our own modalities. And that's why sometimes with certain people, you'll find you just click right away because there's just
Yeah.
certain things in your own alignments that just like a,
Yep.
it works. And like
Clicks into
other,
place. Yep.
yeah, and with other people it doesn't. And I've learned that it's totally okay if it doesn't work with some people and it works with others. And that's the part of living.
For
You
sure.
bounce
Find
off
the
each
ones
other.
you connect with and
Yeah,
hold them
yeah,
close.
exactly. So your astro stack is not to reveal too much because there's secrets in there as well. You are a Sagittarius, a
Sure
beautiful,
am.
fiery, mutable sign. And then you are a Scorpio rising, which brings that whole, I think, depth to things. Like Scorpios are all about seeing the stuff that can't be just talked about, the stuff that is
Mm,
like beneath the surface,
yeah.
the
Experiential almost.
yeah. And I think also just the idea of when you're saying something, there's like a meaning underneath what that is. And it's not like shady or anything. It can be, but like there's multi meanings when things are being said. And Scorpios are
Totally.
just very hyper aware, I think, of that. And
Love that.
intense
Intent. I was
AF.
gonna say
Tense
when you
AF.
yesterday you were like, "Ooh, you're intense." I'm like,
In-
"I am. I'm super
Intense
intense."
AF. Yeah. And then your moon sign, and this is where I think we connect really well, is in Taurus. And
Yes.
I'm a Taurus. And you find that like those main three aspects, if there's others with that, you tend to vibe on similar things. Like
For sure.
Tauruses love like naps and comforts and home movies and like long-term
Literally.
relationships and music and listening to the same song over and over and over again. Like
Yep.
it's that's like Taurus vibes. And so in a moon sign, the moon's all about like your emotional capacity, right? And so like
Mhm.
that's all like with Taurus, like I feel like your sun and moon vibe with each other really well because that Sagittarius, I know a lot of dancers who have Sagittarius sun, and it's very much that
Yeah.
performance, like,
Yes.
hey, hello, and then just being able to channel in that like fire
Yep.
energy. And it's nice to have Taurus in there to ground it,
Yeah. Absolutely.
right? Because like with every sign, there's like a shadow side, and that's like the
Totally.
learning, right? We like where we like, oh, okay, like the downside to Taurus is like you can be a little bit lazy and then fixed in our ways, and
Yep.
really hard to like let go of stuff. Like,
Yep.
Breakups are really hard. It's hard to move on. That kind of
Yeah.
stuff is all part of like Taurus's stuff that we need to like work on. And Sagittarius is very much like travel and mutable. So the learning of Sagittarius is within to not run away from problems all the time, right? Where
Totally.
and like reinvent yourself and just be someone new.
Yeah.
But not that there's anything wrong with that all the time, I don't think. But I think the learning is to like, once you know what it is you're meant to do here, to like really sit with that. And even when things get tough, to like know what your like inner star is and like keep going. And that Taurus will like help you bring that to
Balance
fruition.
that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that so much.
Yeah. So after the astro stack, I want to bring it into the body language situation.
Sure.
So in terms of styles, when it comes to shuffling, can you give, I guess, your own definition as to what shuffle is as a dance style I mean, like in respect to maybe other dance styles, right? Because like, when did shuffling, I like to think of everything as having an astrology too. Like, when was shuffling born approximately?
That's a really great question. So shuffling has started early in the 80s and 90s when it first started emerging. There were people in London, the UK, who started seeing different movements and motions that lend themselves to shuffling around that time. But it very much popularized in the 90s, mainly in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah.
And there was a big underground rave scene where people were not only shuffling, out on the streets, and it was very much a kind of a street style at the time, but they eventually brought it into clubs, and it really started emerging from there. And it went from more foundational and fundamental movements, again, to electronic music, a lot of hard style, a lot of trance at the time, and evolved to be very much what we see and what we know today. And as it has kind of traveled around the globe, it has also picked up different style tendencies in different areas. So Malaysia and Australia, as you know, the Melbourne Shuffle, there's, a UK style, a Russian style. So it's very, very cool. It's been adapted in a lot of different ways while still preserving its roots and where it came from. Yeah.
Is shuffling related to the type of music that it's done to? Like, do you think, is there like a relationship to that, like in terms of like BPM or like?
Yeah, absolutely. There are different, different styles of shuffling, different, sub styles are practiced to different genres of music because of that BPM.
Yeah.
So for example, when the Melbourne Shuffle became very popularized in the 1990s, again, we were dancing to, well, not we, I was literally a fetus at that point, but we were dancing to.
I was dancing in the 90s, kind-ish. Yeah, but I was like a hip hop girl back in the day.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it was,
I did hip hop back
very
in
much,
the day.
I love that. And it was, shuffle, in order to move your feet that quickly, that's where the Melbourne Shuffle became very popularized, because the actual qualities of that dance style have, a bit of a lower knee. And obviously this has adapted and adjusted, but lower to the ground, very smooth, and you're able to move a lot quicker. As we know, hard style is super fast. So not that you couldn't use a cutting shapes or a more bouncy style of dance to hard style music. It's just going to be a lot more difficult. Super possible. But so yes, I believe that shuffling itself characterized from the music that they were listening to at the time, but it also does have elements from other styles of dance. We see our classic Running Man and a different variation happening in hip hop. Our Charleston comes from, 1920s. There are electro elements, swing elements. So
I love that.
It's very much, the essence of it absolutely belongs to shuffle, but we definitely take inspiration, and it combines very, very well with a lot of other styles as well.
Yeah, I would love to see more. It's just interesting too, because Kevin as a DJ gets asked a lot, like, what kind of genre music do you play? Or like, well, I play music. And even with me with dance, like, what kind of style of dance do you teach? I'm like,
The
I
movement
teach like
kind.
because you could literally dance to like anything, right? And
Totally.
I think of like even being like a B girl back in the day and like the six
Yep.
step and stuff and the crip
Yep.
walk. There's a lot of
Totally.
similarities even in that. And
Yes.
I wish there was more battles and stuff, you know, like dance battles.
Oh, there are. There
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh
I
yes.
will. It'll be my personal mission for you and any other listeners right now to be keeping you informed because I keep all of my students informed. It's becoming extremely popularized, not only
Oh my
through
gosh.
Canada, I would say mostly the United States, but very much in European countries as well. I'm actually going to be
I want to
traveling
make
to,
like a new like dance video film about like dance battles because think about like if all
yeah,
of the world's problems were just solved with
on the
with
dance
dance
floor.
battles on the
I
dance
love
floor.
that. Yeah. Honestly, the battle culture it was something that was very prevalent, back when shuffling was a little bit more underground. So
I
we
could see
didn't hear
that.
so much about it as it became more popularized into social media. But a lot of the OGs and the people who are very influential in the community are making sure to keep and preserve that piece of the culture and bring it to people who are even new in the scene. I've
Yeah.
seen people who are battling who have been shuffling for a year, less than a year, because that really is part of the culture. And it is, it's just so cool to see who someone becomes when they are in the battle ring.
Oh, 100%. I
It's
mean, like,
crazy.
yeah, and or even I used to love just things like dance circles, you know, like and each person
Yeah,
goes in the middle and like does their moves and stuff. It doesn't even have to even really be a battle,
totally.
because
Exactly.
it's
Just
like,
it's a showcase,
yeah,
that
and like,
cipher type style. Yep.
yeah, and you just kind of show your personality based on like what's like. I mean, like think of Soul Train back in the
Yep.
day,
Totally. Yeah.
right?
And you go in there,
Yeah,
you're expressing to the music. And in that aspect, obviously with battles, you have people cheering you on as well. But a shuffle circle, which is what we would call it at this point,
yeah,
is
yeah,
it's all about the support from your peers
yes.
and the people on the outside that are cheering you on and encouraging you and making sure that circle stays open and no
Yeah.
miscellaneous people walk through while you're dancing,
No, it's like literally making like a little magic circle with your
Yeah.
dance movements. And this is where I feel like I was doing a little expose into goddesses of the Philippines because I'm half Filipino, and of course, like
Oh,
Filipinos love hip hop, right? That's just like our
yeah.
birthright to do like hip hop dancing and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But ultimately, like I was looking into the moon goddesses of the Philippines, and they just talk about how like there was like martial arts in the Philippines that when the Spaniards came in and like took over the country and were like, we're gonna Christianize you, they hid all of their martial arts movements in the dance.
Wow, that's so
Yeah, so
cool.
I was like, oh, there's like something there. And then when I think of shuffle too, the unique thing about shuffle is that it keeps like it's on the base. You're literally you're the visualization of what the
Of the
of what the
music.
base is, right? And like
Totally.
that vibe of even like with you think of like haka and warrior dances where you're like hitting the ground and hitting yourself at the
Yeah.
same beat, and like that frequency, I feel like there's like a special, if you're like have a bunch of people doing it at the
Connection.
same time on the same beat with the music pumping, it's just at the right type of time of the moon, perhaps even.
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
literally make magic happen, and it's there's something there because our ancestors have been doing that forever. And with shuffle, it's like a matter of like your feet being like that connection to the ground, and each time
Yeah,
you hit it, yeah, your full foot
absolutely.
is like grounding into it. Because I remember learning that with you,
Totally.
that like it was harder for me to like almost have like my full foot be
Foot
on the
flat on the
ground.
floor,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it's very
Rather than the tippy
opposite.
toe.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
You're used
exactly.
to heels and like
Exactly.
very up, and we're like, no, we gotta get grounded here.
Exactly. Yeah. And like so and that's like a unique I think it would be cute to do something where you can see both like how shuffle is doing a dance and like heels is doing a dance.
Even on the
Um
same song or something, that would be cool just to see how
yeah, yeah.
like you're representing the music in a completely different way. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think a lot of the shufflers and the things that I look up to within shuffling are people who can embody a lot of other styles with their shuffle as well and be able to express to different parts of the music in different ways. So
Oh
maybe
yeah.
you're heavy and grounded when that bass actually drops and feeling super connected, but maybe there's a little doo 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 sound in
Yeah.
there, and all of a sudden we're like busting something else out that, it doesn't have to have a label of, oh, it came from this style or this style, but being that physical representation of what is happening in the music.
Oh yeah.
There is something very magical in that connection. I completely agree.
Yes, yes. And I think, what was it? Hormonally, you release oxytocin when you move in sync with other people. So it's just a
Mm,
nice bonding thing to
yeah,
do with other beings who are moving at the same time. And like your heartbeat, all that kind of stuff is all like
totally.
a nice synchronization in that. Do you have a favorite style of shuffling? Is there one that like
Hmm.
is like your
Loaded
go-to if you were to
question.
battle, or like I mean in a battle though, like do they just are there like different styles of battle, or is it kind of like whatever style is you and they kind of like play the song and you just go for
Yeah,
it?
yeah, that's a really good question. So I'll answer the first question
Yeah.
first.
Oh
If
yes,
I
yes.
were This is funny because this wouldn't have been my answer like a long time ago, but it definitely is my answer now, and it would be Melbourne Shuffle is my go-to.
Okay.
I consider myself a very hybrid dancer. I wouldn't
Yeah,
say that
I
there's one style that I favor more than others. I like to practice elements of Cali style.
yeah.
Melbourne, I would say, is is a bread and butter that I can always go back to. Elements of cutting shapes and so on and so forth. But yeah, if I had to pick one, it would definitely be Melbourne. And aside from that, as far as the battles go, so when you are battling, you have no idea what the DJ is going to play. There are
Okay, it's
some
like
battle,
roulette,
yeah,
DJ
you
roulette.
got it. It
Yeah,
is
okay, love
roulette.
it.
There are some battles who, the DJ and the style, like they'll play a lot of like techno or tech house, and
Okay.
Melbourne, Cali, or Malaysian style obviously go very well to those, but you're not limited to those things. You're not
Mm,
even limited to shuffle. A lot of people will use groundwork and take elements from breaking. A lot of shufflers in
okay.
Cali will embody a lot of crump or hip hop style to like amplify that intensity. So
I
I
get it.
think the
Yeah.
main thing in a battle is to, number one, listen to what the music is asking of you, and think of
Oh,
ways that you
yeah.
can
That was good.
and paint the canvas of the music as well. Like, just because it is asking for something more powerful, maybe it really is like a very clean, minimal techno song, but it doesn't have to just be these big hard stomps. Like, you get to decorate it in different ways. And there are a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
battles where the genres are mixed. Like, there's a battle that I'm going to be competing in Barcelona this coming March, and
Fun.
the last year, yeah, I know, I'm so excited, but last year
That's
I watched
such
it
good timing
online.
too,
I
astro wise.
know.
It's gonna be
Yes.
ooh.
We'll have to
Ah.
talk more about that.
Oh
You gave me
yeah.
all the little astro
Yeah, yeah.
information. But in that battle last year, every round actually had a different theme. So I don't know if they did this on purpose. I can't quite remember because, again, I was a spectator just through the interwebs. But like, one round they danced to like a lot of like electro and like swing style music, and
Oh
one round they danced
cool.
to a lot of like big room EDM. Like, it was real. And then they had like a more techno, minimal, higher BPM round. It's very cool because a battle is a, we're going to say, test, quote unquote, of your adaptability and how you can
Yes.
interlace your style through what the music is asking, and obviously so many other things. But it's very much about pivoting in the moment
Oh
and being able
yeah.
to adapt, yeah,
Oh my
which is
gosh.
so
Yeah,
cool.
like what you said about listening to what the music's asking of you, like not to be all woo about it, but there are some songs that like I don't know, like you just I don't know if you're like me where there'll be a song that's like asking you to make moves to it, to make steps to
Totally.
it. And you're like,
Totally.
holy, and you're like, wow, and you
This
do,
is
but
just happen. Yeah, you're pulled towards it
yeah,
in some way, and you're
yeah.
pulled to in a certain way as well. Like, there are some songs, for me it's always like the melodic house with like the emotional, like sappy lyric. Those are the
Oh,
ones that pull the most out of me, I would say. And it makes me want to create like a story with my body. I'm not just gonna like start with the Running Man when the beat drops. I'm gonna like express to the lyric, and I'm gonna use my facial expressions and like whatever she's singing about,
Ah,
I'm feeling it, you know? So
oh,
I
you would be
fully,
great in
fully
musical
agree.
theater, Alex.
Yeah, I miss my musical theater calling for
Oh
sure.
my
I really
gosh, yeah.
did.
I have done musical theater. Like my background actually is mainly in that and like jazz
Cool.
and
Yes.
yeah, jazz mainly. But all of that is your whole body is what is performing, right? And
Yeah.
so I think it's a misconception. The biggest thing for me, like that shuffling is just about your feet,
Oh, yes.
right? We're like, what do I do with my hands?
Totally.
And
Totally.
so like
Shuffle is a full body dance for sure. The
yes.
footwork is obviously important. Like, you know, I have a rule with my students who are beginner, and that says footwork comes first,
Oh
because
yes, yeah.
if we don't have those clean fundamentals, then the upper body don't have, like, it doesn't have that solid foundation to play off of. But I believe you should start playing with that very early on,
Oh
for
yeah, yeah.
sure. That is so
I think
important.
it's a matter of shuffle's a really good way of like understanding musicality
Yeah.
in it. And I was talking to Kevin about how like DJ speak and dancer speak is very similar, like in terms of like
Yeah.
we're counting in counts of 8. He'll be
Totally.
like 2 bars, and I'm putting together this playlist. It's like a zodiac journey around the wheel where like a song represents
That's
each sign.
so cool.
Yeah. So unfortunately for
Send that
Kevin,
over.
I
Let's
will.
make
we're actually recording it tonight.
that's
I'm gonna
so
see if I'm gonna record it live. He's gonna be like, no, stressful, because
cool.
I picked songs. I didn't like listen to the DJ. I was just like, I'm just pick songs that represent the signs to me, right?
Yeah.
And because if you think about Sagittarius, for example, like that energy, right? And even how you mix those songs together,
Mhm.
um, the outro of the old song and then bringing in the elements of the other song, and you can kind of see where there are different styles that you don't think would work together, and
Yep.
they somehow do. And you're like,
Totally.
wow, that's like both people and dance and just like everything and just art in general, where you just like try
Yeah.
something and it works. But he was kind of annoyed with me because I picked things that were like literally the hardest.
To
like
mix.
like I have Guns N' Roses Sweet Child of Mine, right? And
Oh my
then
God, I
right?
love
And so have
that.
that being mixed into Armin's Communication.
Ah. And he's like,
He's like
how am I gonna make this
he's like,
happen?
where in the song? But the key is to find, and this is key with dance too, right? A lot of times with choreography, you're not going to dance to the whole song, right? You're really going
Totally.
to be dancing to a certain piece that like maybe moved you specifically. And
Yep.
so when Kevin does classes with me when I'm teaching dance, say to him like, I need like 8 counts before the dance starts.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like, and then
The prep.
understanding that in music and dance, you like realize that everything's just a story too, right?
Totally. And
So
speaking the same language.
yes,
That
yeah,
is very on brand.
that
Okay.
exactly. And so I want like, how do you put together dances, Alex? Like, what's your kind of like creative process, like from the inspiration of the song? I'm gonna need to make a dance to it, to
Mm,
it being something that you put together and then have like technique in it,
yeah.
but like not too much technique, right? Because like I like to say like combos are usually good where you have like maybe like one trick or two, but you don't want
Yep.
it to be all tricks
Totally.
because there's no soul in just doing all these tricks. But then you
Totally.
also don't want it to be boring. So like how is
Yeah.
your creative process?
I love that. This is such a great question. So, the first thing I would say that I do is whatever piece has moved me the same way that you are describing it, whichever piece of the song has moved me, I'll actually start choreograph. If I'm doing choreography, if I'm
Mm.
freestyling, it's a free
Oh
flow,
yeah,
whatever happens,
yeah.
happens.
Do you like? Okay,
But if
hold on. Wait. Side question. Let's not forget
side
about this.
question,
Freestyling or choreography? Do you prefer one or the other?
at this point in my journey is definitely freestyling for
Me
sure.
too. Yeah.
But I love choreography. I
Yeah.
really, really do. I think that the process of creating it, performing it, syncing it up to the music, as we were saying, is so powerful. However, the sky is the limit with freestyling. I can dance to the same song 5 times in a row and it may never look the same, because there are so many elements
Because
that
you're
really
not the
makes me
same
feel
person every single time you're doing that dance. So what comes
totally.
through the grand logos
Exactly.
is just going to be different, and it's just going to be.
Exactly.
I love that. Ah,
Yeah. But I think they're both are very important tools. Absolutely.
back to the creative
Okay.
process.
Yeah, yeah. So the
I didn't
creative process.
forget, but yes,
So
I
I
had to.
picked,
I had to ask that because some people don't like freestyling.
yeah, totally.
Stresses them out. I get it,
It
but
it is scary for sure, but like I said, both are really important tools, and I invite you to lean into the one that makes you want to run in a hole and cry a little bit because that's
it's good
probably where
advice.
your biggest expansion is going to be and your biggest next connection to the dance.
I love
Especially if you're at a
that.
plateau, go to like run towards the thing that scares
That makes
you
you
and
uncomfortable,
yeah,
yeah, and like face
totally.
that because like underneath that like scary rock is like a gem for
Oh,
sure.
and it's a whole it's a gem with a door
Yeah,
and you go through like and then you're in a whole other world.
yeah.
Seriously. It's
Oh my
amazing.
gosh, good,
Yeah.
good
Yeah. So
tangent. Creative
yes, that was
process.
a good one. So
That
the
was
creative
good.
process. So yes, I pick which part of the song speaks to me and
Mm.
then I actually work backwards. So I will usually choreograph to that first. It doesn't even matter. Let's say I have 4 counts of 8. If people that are not dancers are listening, that might not make sense, but let's just say I have a piece and I actually choreograph sometimes from the middle and
Mm.
then outwards and backwards. So for
Okay.
example, yeah, so I will decide. So I know this is hard because some of this is going to be, I'm physically not dancing right now, so it might not make full sense. But
Do a visual, like a
yeah,
visual
I'm going to give an
paintbrush.
example.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll give a quick example. So I was hosting a shuffle, dance, and mindset retreat this past week here in Costa Rica. And during our shuffle history lesson, we were talking about a group that started. I won't give the whole history right now, but it was called Foot Patrol. And
Okay.
while we were explaining this, I said to the group, I said, you guys know the song Yeah by Usher and Lil Jon. Like everyone knows that song. And there's a part in Lil Jon's verse where he says, if you ain't cutting, then we put them on foot patrol. And it's a
Ah.
direct reference to shuffling. I have chills saying this because this was so overlooked. And even right now, I don't think half the people
Oh
in the
my
world
gosh, you
know
are
this.
just that is oh my gosh, that is such a juicy
Isn't
music
that
drop.
crazy? And
And I
it's like, Lil Jon, what do you know about Foot Patrol? Like, what do you know about cut? Like,
oh my
this is like
gosh.
shuffle history. This is not cutting shapes right now. This is where cutting shapes originate from. So it's very, very
That's
cool.
I am
So
gonna listen to yeah, totally different now.
different. It's just that one little piece because
But
the
still,
next part he's like, if you hold the head steady, I'm
I love it.
got
Ah!
all of
Oh my
this.
gosh, I
So
love that.
So if I were to be choreographing to that, which I was
Yeah.
thinking of doing this past week, it didn't end up happening, but I would start there. That's
Okay.
the piece that I want to highlight in
Yes.
all of this. I also love shuffling to things that are non EDM. Clearly, that is not an EDM song, right? So I would start there. I would figure out a way to really express that lyric, whether it's through my facial expressions, hand motions,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
cutting shapes at that point. And then I would work backwards. So then I'd be like, okay, so where do I actually want to start this choreography? And what do I need to do to build up my movement so I can seamlessly get into the piece that I've already planned? Does
Oh
that sort of make
yeah.
sense?
That does make sense.
So if
That does
I'm
make
like,
sense.
if I need to, let's say I'm going to do a running man at that part, I need to think, okay, what can I do before that to seamlessly get me into a running man?
Oh
So,
my
and
gosh.
then I'll move forward from there. So that's kind of
I
my
love
creative
that.
process. There was another piece of this question that you asked that I wanted to answer and I could not think of it
I
now.
am like I am okay. I have to break in here with like some crazy synchronicity
Yeah,
here because
go for it.
like I come from like a fitness background, right? I used to compete in
Yeah,
like bikini and fitness, but I also
yeah,
did like routines and stuff, right?
cool.
Um I went to yeah, I did provincials actually and I placed like second and
That's
all of that kind of
amazing.
stuff. So but I did what did I do? I did a routine to Tron and did that whole thing,
Okay, yeah,
but my creative process is similar to yours in the sense of like you have mandatories you want to do. And
yes,
so like but you don't want it to look like awkward.
yeah,
I'm going to do a 1 arm push up now. How do I make it
yeah,
look
yeah,
like it's part of it, right? But you'll pick
yeah,
out parts in the song that like make sense to do certain movements because that
yeah,
it makes sense with that energy of the song and putting together.
For sure.
And going back to it's so crazy because my hubby also does bodybuilding and they have to put together bodybuilding routines. And so he did for...
That's so cool.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, like,
He's
and then
probably
pose,
doing weird, he's like doing cut and then I put him on Pro Patrol.
No, but like sick. If you like do like little choreography routine, we should do like a little cut of like a bodybuilding routine and like I don't know, just something where like all different styles dancing to the same song, right? Just all like kind of cut together because it's really just how people choose to express it, right? And I remember that for me, going to dance classes, like, did you ever really go to dance classes, like, as an adult, Alex, or?
As an adult, until I started shuffling, no. So pretty much after my schooling, and I did dance just recreationally growing up. Aside from that, there was quite a long break until I started shuffling. Yeah. And now, obviously, So, like, I'm in Toronto, right? And we do have, like, I guess, adult dance community to some degree. Totally.
And I do notice that, like, I used to always get into my own head when it came to some classes, right? And I can get why people would be intimidated, and which is why I recommend if you're interested in shuffling, having an instructor in a judgment-free zone, you can contact Alex because it's just to get like your confidence up too, I think, as well as being musically literate, right? So even when you're saying things like, that's a universal language when you're talking about like counts of 8. Like all dancers, we're moving in counts of 8. It's always an even beat. Right? Like unless you're getting complicated and there's and counts, but like we're not getting there yet. But ultimately there's a universal language when it comes to that kind of stuff. But there is a learning curve, right? Of like just being able to know like that's what we're gonna call it.
That's what they mean.
Yeah, exactly. And so demystifying it a little bit. But I did also find that like in many classes, I would be almost like obsessed with like looking like the instructor, which is not. You have a completely different body, so like how even a hair whip is not, you have different hair, so that's just not gonna look the same. And then I would get so caught up with like certain moves and wanting it to look like exactly like that I would like miss the rest of the choreo being taught and then just be like, oh my God, what's happening? I'm like, no,
now I'm lost.
Exactly. So
now I know nothing.
This nightmare scenario in dance class. But like
funny.
I've learned how to learn and pick up quickly and like basically be like, okay, it's better for me to know at least like the skeleton of what the dance is, and then if there's a part that I get stuck at, like bookmark it.
Yes.
And then like move
go back and workshop it more later on, for sure.
Yes. But like that idea of like looking exactly like your teacher.
Totally.
Do you want to expand on that? Because I think
I would love to.
Because I think you did a great job in our lessons where it was like, you know, like you had pointers and things, but it wasn't about like me looking like you. It was more like the elements of what you, like the power, where there's power, and like how do you generate that? So, and then in your own body, okay, like what does that look like for me versus it being like, this is exactly how this like Running Man should be done. This is how it's
supposed to look like. Like we all have to look like soldiers side by side. Exactly the same.
Yes.
Totally. You expressed that so beautifully, and that is one of my biggest values as a teacher. I will always say, I don't teach you to dance like me. I give you the tools so you can dance like you.
Yeah.
Because I want you to look like me. I don't want to look like you. I think every single person has their own unique sauce and flavor, even if our fundamentals are the same.
Yes.
Even if we're all man, the T-step, etc. The way our body moves, our height, our facial expressions, our energy, the amount of dynamic we're putting into it, our mood that day, like all of these things completely changes what that fundamental movement looks like. So not only in just a teacher-student scenario, but this comes up a lot in a influencer scenario. I spent much of my journey, the beginning of my journey before I started teaching, especially being like, okay, I want to look like this person. I would study people's videos. And while I was freestyling, in my head, I would be naming my next move and the inspiration. So I'd be like, okay, I'm going to my cowtail like this person, and I'm going to do my Running Man like this person, and I'm going to add a little saucy thing like this person, and my slide is this. I was basically like, this weird vision board, like cut and paste of other people. And could I emulate someone else? Yeah. Okay. Amazing. But that's not going to get you where you want to be as far as your progression and your connection to the dance. Emulating
Yeah.
someone else is only going to get you so far because you're not that person. They're
No.
not you, and that's a freaking gift,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like looking at that in a positive light, like you are so unique. And although even me as your teacher, again, I don't want you to dance like me. I want to teach you the tools and the rules so you can break them and make them your own, right? And
Yeah.
that is the most empowering thing I think any dancer of any style can realize is copying and trying to be just like someone else is going to feel really empty and hollow later on when you're craving that connection to your own unique way of moving. And it's going to feel
Totally.
like you're going to feel like a beginner all over again. You could have been shuffling for 2 years at that point, but you're going to now start exploring your unique way of moving, and you're going to feel like a baby giraffe all over
Oh
again
my
because you're not used
gosh.
to it. So my advice on that is to, whether you're in a class or watching someone on YouTube or watching your favorite shufflers or dancers on stage, like take inspiration from them, feel inspired by what they're able to do, but don't aim to look just like them. Aim to add that sauce and flavor of your own on top of everything that you are doing.
Oh, totally. That's like life is a remix, right? Like you can be inspired
Totally.
by so many things, but it's not about like no one's going to be you but you. So
You got it.
you got to just do you because yeah. And what you were doing with the copying and pasting of different moves, I used to do that with like bikini competitors and like fitness
I
competitors.
think it happens in every little niche,
Yeah, well, or like
actually.
anyone you kind of like you're looking up to in whatever
Look up
industry
to.
it is that you are in, right? I feel
Yeah,
like because like goals, right? You want to look up to
totally.
something, and so but it does hit a certain point where you do have to find out like there's no way that you're going to be able to do like that little personality hip tooch the way that she does it because that's her little personality hip
Yep,
tooch. You need to figure out what your
totally.
little signature
Yeah,
thing is, and that
yep,
can come from going back to like freestyle. And the beauty of freestyle is that
yeah,
I'll find that like with freestyle because I used to be a go-go dancer, like me and my
yeah.
friend Ginger used to like laugh because we would have our own like little signature moves like when you were like I
Yep.
don't really have no idea
I'm just gonna keep doing
what
this
I'm just gonna
one.
do, and I'm tired, so I'm just gonna just like do this like
Yeah.
sexy thing down like this. But um, it's just funny because you can like see in each other's freestyle like what you're like thinking and like what you're
Yeah,
where you're going for, and like it's
totally.
um, I don't know. Like I also just miss like dance movies that
Yes.
you know that like have like
Bring back the dance movies.
yeah, like guys on this side and girls on
Yeah.
this side, and like they come together and like dance. Like
Yeah.
that, I'm thinking of Step Up. I think right
Step
now.
Up. I was gonna say that's definitely Step Up or like Honey or something.
Oh
Honey
my
was an
gosh, Honey was
iconic dance
bomb.
movie.
Yeah, and just like and
Iconic.
how she was looking at like a basketball, right? And like and like just where you get
Yep.
inspiration from for movements because
Totally.
like it's tell people to like no one owns the pirouette or like a
Right.
jump or any of these kinds of movements.
Totally.
Can't copyright those kinds of things, but the way that we like express that is like your own, and
Yeah,
you can make it a
absolutely.
signature, and that's
Totally.
like also like your gift to the universe because now
Yeah.
it's out there and other people can like take it, remix it, and it just
Yes.
becomes a thing that is bigger. So
Yep. I love the idea of life as a remix. I love that. And one other thing that I always, you know, strive for as a dancer personally is if I were to be wearing a mask where you could not see my face, any of my features, if we were all standing beside each other wearing full masks, would you be able to pick me out as a dancer? Would I have such a signature way of moving, no matter what the genre is, the style, whatever, where you could be like, that's Alex? That's what I
That's
strive for, which is, I mean, I've never
that's
done
like
that.
a
That's like
game
this,
show
it
idea.
is,
You know, like the Masked
it's like the
Singer,
Masked
but like
Singer, yeah.
the
The
like
Masked, yeah,
costumed
I think that
dancer.
might exist, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I feel, or we just made
Maybe
it
we
up.
just invented
We
it.
invented it right now, and because
Hello,
time's not
yes, you
linear,
guys should
yeah, we'll make sure.
contact us. Make
TM,
sure,
TM.
yeah, give us the credit where credit is due,
If
everybody.
that's the case, because if you think about it, like if you just had like costume dancers and like it's just you didn't know who this person was, and
Would you be able to pick out their unique style of movement? Yeah.
yeah,
And it's,
yeah,
I do believe that everyone, for me, facial expressions are a big thing. So without my facial expressions, I feel like half of my dance personality would be
yeah,
gone. But still, the way that my body moves in general and the way that I uniquely express, I would want to have someone be able to pick me out. I would want to have someone be able to pick you out. And that is where uniqueness really comes from.
totally. I
Gotta
like.
do a test.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that
Yeah,
there's a there
volunteers.
there there's a there
Yeah.
there's a show idea there too.
Yes.
I feel like we can do something with that. Like I'm gonna make a little note of that.
We'll
Oh my
ponder on it.
gosh, did I lose my train of thought? I wanted to ask you one last question before we wrap. Um, I would say, like, what would you say your biggest tip is for people who are interested in shuffling, but they just don't think that they like move like that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Because I've personal trained in the past too, right? Like the relationship with you and your body, and that can be worked on, right? There's this idea of learning how to learn. When I was out of practice of dance for a while, and then I joined Babes and like had like, and you're learning choreography all the time, you
Yeah,
get better at picking up choreography the more that you try to
for
pick up
sure.
choreography, right? So it's not like
Yeah,
something you're just like born with being able to do. So do you have any
totally.
like advice for anyone who's like wanting to approach shuffling as a dance language to figure that out? Um, who's like maybe like in just thinks that like my body doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that's such a great question. So the one thing I would say is this is by far the most versatile dance style I have ever witnessed or experienced. And what I mean by that is the shuffle community is so diverse. I have students who are in their mid 60s. I have
Oh my
students who
god, love
are like
that.
10, 12 years old. So there's a huge range right there. I have students of all shapes and sizes, all heights. I have students who have injuries and things that they've had to work on where their body, doesn't move the same as it used to before. And one thing that I will say is the fundamentals of shuffling are very, very unique
Hmm.
compared to any other dance style. And I wholeheartedly believe if you come at me and say, I have two left feet or whatever, all of those little
I
things,
can't move, but
yeah, I'm clumsy. I get that very
yeah.
frequently. Give me a chance and I'll turn you into a shuffler.
I love
I
that.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, just even without that, it is such a dance style that anybody truly can do. Obviously, being mindful of your health and all those
Yeah.
things. Like,
Yeah.
we know those intentions come first, but it is a dance style that even at its most fundamental level, I wholeheartedly believe anyone can pick it up. I've taught both of my parents, I have taught my grandmother, I have taught my fiance, who we joke around that he's the big dopey giant because he's super like clumsy, but he's
I
a bomb
love
shuffler.
that. I love
It's
that. Oh my
it's
god.
for any walk of life, and I really encourage you to try and to just be open to the fact that this is a very, very welcoming community. So a lot of the fears and the I can't do this is that come up in your head may just be the fear of like, not fitting into a community. And I promise you, this is the one you want to come into.
Oh my
Absolutely. Give
gosh.
it a shot.
I love that. That
Yeah.
was very epic. I love how that's
Yes.
perfect, Alex. Amazing. I also think that like because shuffling is very like as I said like very uniquely related to music and how like music is just like a universal language as you said
Yeah,
like it's just a we are each other, right? So it's just kind of like being able to like you're in your own uniqueness being able to also still connect with other people on like a deeper
totally.
level is like yeah, I'm with you on it. I also think that like there's something there in terms of making like a shuffle movie or something.
Yeah,
Like some sort of
totally.
like because like there's like vibes of hip hop too, right? Where you have like
Yeah,
there's a way of doing something there. So I'm gonna
totally.
take a little tag
Yeah,
on that to see if
yes.
there's something that can be done because
Pitch it to Hollywood.
yes, yeah, exactly. Because if you think about even like all the different like cultures, I think of like Street Fighter, for example,
Yeah.
and all the different ways in which the different parts of the world express their land and where
Hmm.
they're from and all that within the dance is like
Yep.
something that can be like I think painted together quite
And we
nicely.
already see that within shuffling. We see the different substyles and how they uniquely express and how they all come together at some point with people practicing multiple styles. But I totally agree. I think shuffling is on the verge of something big, and I wholeheartedly believe that. And our friends in music and DJs are helping to popularize it, as well as dance studios recognizing it as
Yeah.
something that is to be taught in the studio right next to your hip
Yes.
hop, your jazz, your ballet.
Yes. Yes.
So everyone be on the lookout. If you missed the first wave, it's okay. We are in the second wave, and
Yeah, bigger
you
and
know,
better than ever.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
So, okay.
totally.
So we are, yes, at time, and that conversation
Yay.
went beautifully well. Thank you so much for joining the show,
Thank
Alex.
you for having me. This was incredible. I
Oh my
appreciate
gosh,
it.
this was such a great conversation, and thank you for bearing with my technical difficulties in the beginning. But
That's
we made it
okay.
through. I'm so happy
We
it ended up
did.
working out. Can you tell everybody where they can find you, and is there anything big that anyone can look out for from you coming up? You also mentioned a dance battle, so go through where people can find you and stuff. Any fun things that you're wanting to promote at this time?
Sure. Yes. So on Instagram, I have two handles just to make it extra complicated.
Of
My first
course, why not?
is
We are
shuffle.
multifaceted beings, right? So,
Exactly. Exactly. We can't just have one.
No, of course.
My first one is Shuffle Shred, spelled exactly how it sounds. And that is where I'm posting all of my shuffle content. So we have shuffle mindset, tutorials, freestyles, literally everything you're going to want to know about shuffle is on there. My personal Instagram, which is a mixture of shuffling as well as mindset and coaching, that is
Mm,
Alchemy X Adventures.
love that
And
name
that,
too.
yes,
I
that
love
that
it.
name has carried with me for a while because alchemy has been part of
Oh,
everything that I've
dance
done.
is pure
So
alchemy,
it totally
right? Oh
is.
my
Yes.
gosh. Like, you take all of those emotions and you just like turn it into movement. And
Yeah.
such a healthier way of dealing with things. Anyways, go on.
Totally. Yes, no, I completely agree. Absolutely. So, yeah, other than that, I will be competing in a battle called TSL, the Showcase League in Barcelona this
That's
March.
so cool, by the
I'm really
way. It's
excited.
so
Yeah.
cool. Like, do you
I
have to
believe
like
they'll be streaming it.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it will be
Okay.
streamable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
details of that. Please let me know. I
totally.
would love to like oh my gosh, can I cover it? You know what I mean?
That'd be so
Yeah.
cool.
I like
Who
can do
knows?
get the
Maybe.
live stream and then like cover the dance and then like,
Yeah.
be like
That would be so
cheer.
cool.
I'll
You
figure
never know.
something out.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, so that is in March. And other than that, if you're one of those people who's like, I have two left feet, or I really want to learn how to shuffle, my
Yes.
footwork blueprint program is literally designed exactly for beginners like you, where you don't have to have any previous dance experience. You literally can have two left feet, and through very short, digestible, and punchy, powerful video modules, as well as some one-on-one time with me, I will get you shuffling exactly the way that you need to
Yes.
be and feeling really confident about it and feeling like you actually understand it. So that is
Yes.
probably where I would recommend anyone start for
That's
sure.
beautiful. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Alex. I
Thank
this was an amazing
you.
conversation talking about dance and like what it all means and also just education about shuffling as a dance language and I think that ultimately the more that we dig in deeper into like the art and that we are all capable of expressing ourselves in that kind of way, it's our birthright as human beings.
Yes.
the better
Absolutely.
off we'll all be. So I'm going
Totally.
to sign off on this. I will say goodbye to you on Zoom officially later,
Perfect.
but I will say goodbye to all our live viewers now. Goodbye, and I will catch all of you next Friday. Actually, before that, I'm doing a synastry reading between Wonder Woman and Superman, astrology wise.
So cool. I
And
love
that'll
it.
be on Sunday. But until then, I will also have some replays of this posted with all of the links and all of the good stuff from where you can find Alex and all of her future endeavors. So I'll say bye to you offline, Alex. Goodbye, everyone online.